Today we're going to figure out how to discern deception, lies, truth, belief. Not that there's a really clear-cut line to begin with. I figured this would be a really good exercise. I know a lot of you would like to figure out, how do you tell? How do you tell? How do you tell? So we're going to look at that. I hope you learned something from it. There's a lot of things that I mentioned through videos that I just don't mention again, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, remember when I said blah blah blah. So hopefully I can bring everything that I've said as far as honesty and dishonesty all into one video. Anyways, before we get started, I want to remind you about Patreon. I'll be uploading a video this Friday. It's going to be on Lee Harvey Oswald. Let's get started. I want to say thank you to We Are Change for allowing me to use their video. I'm very much appreciative. And we're using the Jill Stein Exposed video for Christina Tobin for her honesty. She comes across as a very honest individual. We'll look in her face and we'll see stress lines here, and we'll see some stress lines here, and some muscle tightness as well, but we won't see it up here. To be interviewed and have stress lines is pretty normal. You want to be liked. You don't want to come off as an idiot. You don't want to sit there and make yourself look silly. So, stress during an interview, a little stress during an interview anyways, is perfectly acceptable. But besides that, we're going to look at her body too. The way her shoulders move and her arms and her head. And we're going to find that there is a rhythm when people communicate with each other and the way their body moves. Let's watch a little bit as she starts.
Jill Stein doing?
I'm doing well.
Instantly her body comes in with it, and I want you to notice how her shoulders and her core here agree with the way her head moves and her arms move. And what I mean by agree is like they're dancing together.
Here, and how was your own personal experience with Jill Stein this year?
Well, it pains me to say this, that I feel she...
Here, and how was your own
She tries to take a breath in. See how slowly this breath is?
personal experience with Jill Stein
In
this
and
year?
then out. That's a very calming, deep breath.
Well, it pains me to say this, that I feel
And her
she has
shoulders
pulled out 100%.
start agreeing with her mouth.
This is a prime example of when you become a candidate, you get larger, you get in the media.
See the wiggle?
Sometimes you've got to be very, very careful of who you surround yourself with. And I can tell you with personal...
She's becoming very comfortable to move her body. And that's very important to be able to see. When they become comfortable enough that they're starting to move their body. She took that deep breath. She's moving her body. She's very comfortable about it now. And as the interview progresses, her comfortable in it gets even better.
The fact that independents or people are perceiving themselves cycle after cycle, 3, 4,
She's
5
wiggling,
Gallup
she's
polls,
moving back and forth. Her
more and
body's
more,
with her
4 out of
head, her
10,
hands with her
probably more
arms.
perceive themselves as independents. There's a
It's like
need
they're
more than
dancing
ever for
together.
people to unite on the greater issues, the issues that bring us together, and
Also see her face.
that's what free and equal elections.
This muscle here has relaxed. She still has tension here, but she's talking in an interview and a subject that she's not extremely happy about. So a perfectly acceptable stress here. The fact that the rest of her face is so relaxed and her body is having a dance with not only its core, its arms, and its head is a very good indication that what she is saying in her mind is truth. Now we're going to look at a man. Men generally have smaller body language than women. That is not a rule. That is just on average. Men can have just as loud as body language as women, and women can be just as soft as men in their body language. But as a general observation, men tend to be much quieter in their body language, and women tend to be much louder. We're going to look at this individual who's going to give what he believes and how his body moves with it as well. And you're going to see the men's physical dance. It's also why I keep telling you, when women do that sway and they move their heads, the feminine swirl, the feminine sway, it's because it's just a louder body movement. Men are just smaller, much smaller. Anyways, let's watch this individual.
Or if you just have a thing with money.
See that his body moves in a shaking movement. His body shakes his head. His head is shaking, and they're all going together. It's that dance. We're all on the same. If you have ballroom dancing, feet go in the direction. They may not be doing it at the same time, but they're flowing the same pattern. His body is flowing the same pattern, and they're doing it in a rhythm. Watch about 30 more seconds so you can see it.
That, you know, in the United States is one of the most materialistic, money-oriented societies in the world. We all have a thing about money, and I think we all probably maybe.
We can see now how he is dancing, his rhythm. Now, these individuals are not giving hard facts that we've seen. Okay? I've mentioned before belief systems versus reality. And belief system does not mean religion. People's belief and how they feel the world works. That is their system of belief. And that no matter what it is, it will come across as truth. So when we look at an individual to see if they're trying to deceive us or not, basically what we're looking for is, do they believe what they're saying? And then as an observer, you need to listen to what they're saying. So is what they're saying part of a belief system, or is it reality? And you have to discern for yourself. His body language is saying X plus Y equals X plus Y. You have to figure out what X and Y are. We're looking at his face. I'm going to go back and look at his face. And I'm going to assume it's cold outside. Basically because he's got the redness. And he's wearing a jacket. And the wind's blowing. So we're just going to assume it's cold outside. When you look at people, you need to take the environment and the situation that they're in for the stress that you see. And this face, to me, is perfectly acceptable for the weather that he's in. The stress lines don't go all the way up to here. And although his beard is covering a lot of facial tells, his body is saying that the stress just isn't there. The mental stress is not there. Let's look at Pelosi and then watch her body. We'll watch her body first, and then we'll go to her face.
Not on the ballot. Hillary Clinton is the candidate for president that we are asking people to vote for. Not because she's a woman, and not because her husband was president.
I want you to notice how her body is not really agreeing with her head and her arms. By the way, the interviewer asked her about the difference between Trump and Bill Clinton, and why from all the accusations of Bill Clinton. But anyways, her shoulders and her arms and her head are having a hard time dancing. They're very jerky in their movements.
And all the good things he did as well. But because she is the best person to be president of the United States, one of the best qualified in the history of our...
Bad dancing. Well, not everybody can be a dancer. When your body dances, yes. Your body dances. It's like walking. You've been doing it since you were born. Your body dances together. It's like saying you can't breathe and walk at the same time. Your body dances. Now when we go back to her face, we see that she's got the believe me look. which, because of how her body is acting, we can say that this is deception. Because, as I've said before, just because they have the wide-eyed eyes does not necessarily mean they're lying. It's just, believe me, I'm innocent, I'm meek, I'm trying to get you on my side. But with her body acting this way, we can say there's deception. Because this could mean, you know, the wide eyes are used in people selling you something. Wide eyes are used to give emphasis. Wide eyes have a lot of uses. Their main meaning, believe me, be on my side, I'm weak, I'm innocent, I'm with you. But we have to take everything into account. And she has very jerky movements. Let's look at that one more time, her jerky movements.
Our country. But I'm curiously watching the behavior of Donald Trump, because he's always projecting. When he knows that his temperament is not going over very well.
As shoulder goes this way, hand comes this way. It's just very uncoordinated. Bad dancing. Bad dancing. Deception alert. Listen to what she's saying. Now we have Obama. This is an old interview from 2009. He's talking about Obamacare and the law and getting it passed and all the good that's going to come out of it. And this is where we get into belief systems and how deceptive they are when you've got someone telling you something who believes what they're saying, and why you have to listen to what they're saying and discern for yourself. Does X plus Y equal X plus Y? Well, yes, they believe X plus Y equals X plus Y. Then you have to ask yourself, what is X plus Y? Watch.
You know what? I want to take my chances. And then you get hit by a bus, and you and I have to pay for the emergency room.
Go back. And watch this movement as he talks. Because he believes this.
And you and I have to pay for the emergency.
You see how in sync that was? His body's moving forward, his arms moving forward, his head's with it. And also because men, how quiet his body language is.
That may be, but it's still a tax increase.
That's not true, George.
I'm sorry, that's not true, George. Okay, George.
For us to say that you've got to take a responsibility to get health insurance is absolutely not a tax increase. What it's saying is that we're not going to have other people carrying your burdens for you.
And you see, he believes that. His body went with his arm. His head is going with his body, his arms. Everything's in sync. He believes that. That's his belief. That's not a tax increase, and he's going through it. And we see where, as he's talking, go back.
People carrying your burdens for you.
You know how relaxed his face is with saying that. That is the trap of a belief system. Let's go into a little bit more of this. Now here we go into this part. And we're watching the shoulders here with his arm movement and his head. And watch this.
What I have said is we're not going to take $1 out of the Medicare Trust Fund. We're going to make sure.
See how his arm is jerking this way as he moves, but his shoulder isn't going with his arm this time. He had the belief system in the beginning of what he believed, and now we're talking about, you know, what I've said and this money not going here, blah, 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 whatever. The body is disagreeing with itself. The dance is not rhythmic. He's falling in the ballroom.
That benefits are just as strong, if not stronger. We're not going to subsidize insurance companies in ways that end up creating a situation.
The dance has failed. And then you see in his face, as he's talking, is so relaxed. This is a practiced liar. It's a practiced liar. Now, if we didn't know what we know now, how would we sit there and go, well, he's lying, or how do we say for sure that he's lying? Which is why I don't like using the word lying. I like the word deception. The body is not dancing in a rhythmic dance, which says that this is used to deception, which then tells me to discern that I should be very wary of what he's saying and go find out what X plus Y is, if X plus Y even exists. And his body is saying X plus Y does not exist in this moment. The body language people that I have seen, and mostly on TV, I remember just watching them, and they point out like very simple things. There's a lot of things that they won't point out. You could assume it's mainstream media and that the people they have on are the people that are going to agree and say the things they want them to say. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this one was informative. Thank you for watching. If you like it, please like it. And if you like the content, please subscribe. And check out Patreon.